Bad Timing, love thriller starring Art Garfunkel of Simon and Garfunkel fame, Theresa Russell, and Harvey Keitel. The story takes place mainly in Vienna and it is told through two concurrently running timelines. In the opening sequence, Alex, played by Garfunkel, rides the ambulance to the hospital with Milena, played by Russell, who is in a coma. Quickly turns out that this was a suicide attempt from her, and it's still unsure whether or not she'll make it. Distraught, Alex sits in the hospital waiting, and meanwhile, a police detective played by Keitel decides to try and investigate what really happened. And then we begin flashing back and forth to discover how Alex and Milena first met many months before, how there was an immediate spark of chemistry, and then a very unhealthy romance blossomed out of this initial fascination between him, a quiet but smart university professor and psychoanalyst, and her, a walking and talking red flag, a girl who likes to have fun with various men, never commits to anything in life, just lives it 1 minute at a time with no consideration for consequences. So I think there are several things that make the movie work. First of all, there's genuine chemistry between the two leads, and the relationship is really believable. Also, Theresa Russell in particular sold me on her character. I never really doubted that she really is like that. And yes, she's all over the place as a character, clearly unstable and not someone you want to entangle your life with. But on the other hand, she is incredibly sexy and alluring, so you can kind of see the dilemma. Secondly, the way the story is put together, the way we discover it by going back and forth between the present and the past, and slowly learn how it all went down, I think that's brilliant, and the movie simply wouldn't be the same if it was told chronologically. And finally, as a result of this storytelling method, there is an interesting shift that happens over the course of the film, where we initially sympathize fully with Alex, as Milena is clearly the one causing him a lot of distress and grief. But then, as we get to the conclusion, those beliefs are challenged, and we have to reevaluate who's the villain here. And I won't say what happens, but the final 20 minutes of the film are fairly shocking and explicit in where it goes. In fact, the movie caused many controversies because of it at the time of its release. Some critics would say that it endorses the terrible things it portrays. I don't think that's the case. I think it's still very clear that Alex crosses a line in the end. And yes, we get to see what caused him to do that. What we see all the little things that pushed his buttons until he finally snaps. But even with that background, it's still far from justified. All in all, it's a pretty solid film, starting off basically as a romance piece and then slowly evolving into a more tense and dark thriller without once losing its focus on the key part of the story, which remains the central relationship. Good movie.